Bring the Municipal Facilities Committee meeting to order here. The first order of business is the approval of minutes.
So moved to approve it.
Second.
All right, the minutes approved. Second order of business is the marina is going to provide us with information about dry stack storage facility.
Thank you, Chair Nutting, council members, Scott Wilkins and Katie Bevegny from the Des Moines Marina. We're just going to give you a little short presentation on the dry stack facility. As we're moving forward right now with our current CIP project, the LM&N dock, we're looking forward to, over the next few weeks, hopefully get that out to bid, and we'll bring you up to date on that as we know a little bit more sooner. We've heard, and there's a lot of curiosity regarding dry stacks, so we wanted to just inform council that it's still a CIP project. It's involved with the all-purpose building project, so it's still a CIP project. And we're hoping to spend a little money next year in 2025 to start some engineering, some cost, some design work, and all those things to start that project. But most of you probably don't know, dry stack isn't a new concept for the marina. It was presented back in 2003, 21 years ago. The former harbor master presented to council a whole thing on with renderings and costs and support and everything else. And at that time, council decided it wasn't something to move forward with. So it's been around for a long time, and we still have all those things. But, yeah, 2003, 21 years ago. And there's a duck that came in. Anyway. But, so while pricing and designs and other things have, changed and evolved over time, the core concept still remains the same. And as you know, we're kind of unable to expand our marina property in water. To the south of us, we have Tidelands, the Yacht Club, and other things. To the west of us in the water's too deep, it's DNR property. And to the north, we get into Normandy Park, stormwater, sewer outfalls, eelgrass, and all kinds of things. So our piece of property is our piece of property, and that's the water. And at this time, we can't expand on that. So the right thing to do is take advantage of our uplands that build a dry stack storage. It's the most efficient, it's the most profitable, and it's that option. And Katie's going to kind of explain a little bit about some of the financials and revenues and expenditures. So appreciate it.
So we took a tour, as we've presented on before, to a few different dry stack facilities throughout the Puget Sound area. We went as far down as Tacoma and as far north as Anacortes. Talked with a lot of people at those facilities that run and operated them and how they built them. So we do have some financials that are kind of current. It was about 2022-ish that we got these numbers. Building the building itself, everything included, your tilt-up structure, your launch platform, the washdown area, the forklift, all of that is a roughly $5 to $6 million to build. And then when you look at the annual expenses, we estimate needing at least 2 full-time employees to operate that facility, as well as the utilities and water. It's about roughly a $200,000 per year in expenses. However, the revenue is estimated at about $1 million a year. $1 million a year is about $250,000 or so more than we currently make on our dry sheds and 3 of our smallest in-water covered slips.
Excuse me, how many million?
It's about $1 million a year in revenue, which is about $250,000 higher than what we currently make.
Go ahead.
So, part of this has always been the redesign of the marina, because we've got, I think your waiting lists on your boats over 40 are ridiculously long. I think we may never live to see the day that somebody gets get in the slip, maybe long.
There's a few lists that are definitely longer than others. We're probably the longest list now is around 4 or 5 years.
Okay, but it's the larger boats.
Yes.
So the idea was to do that to bring additional revenue.
Yeah.
To the marina, the water side.
Correct.
And then this would, it was always, that's like the last, just a few years ago when we were trying to do it, it was Yeah, I think you said it would bring in about $1 million as well.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering about, so that's all I had for now.
Yeah, really quickly, yes. As the dry stack gets built, if we could build it early enough and start producing revenue off of that and everything else, that's that extra revenue. Until we get to that point where we can have the funding to remove some of the smaller slips and put in some of the larger slips to recoup that money. So it is somewhat of a wash because we're building a structure to incorporate some boats that are in the water, but we're also gonna build a new structure in the water to incorporate larger revenue and larger vessels. So that's where we'll start making even more. But the building itself is capable of making up to about $1 million. And then in the future, when funding comes available, we've all talked about that all-purpose building. That would be incorporated kind of off of the dry stack and move forward towards the west and towards the water. So the dry stack can be built by itself as a tilt-up type, as you know. So,
It's just the first step in being able to pull these boats off the water.
yes.
Very good. We got a couple.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
So there is possibility of additional, if it's $250,000 more than now, that's just in the dry stack. That, how much is it estimated it will increase revenues having the larger boat slips?
A 50-foot boat slip, boat dock will bring in approximately $400,000.
Okay.
Yes, and when we do that, when we're financially able to do that, we will be removing 3 smaller docks, and those are being accounted for into the dry stack. So we're still supporting the small boater, but we're gaining another 50-foot dock.
Okay. So if you say that's an extra $400,000, we're talking about $650,000.
In new revenue.
650. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So, goodness gracious, sorry, they just left me. Is there a projected timeline on return on investment?
You know, excuse me, I think we'd have to get Jeff, our finance director, a little bit involved, because right now, as you know, we're taking on some serious debt
Yeah.
to do the LM&N dock project, and which is gonna pretty much tap out the marina for debt service. So until we can get that paid down somewhat, to be able to borrow money or have that support to financially do that, that's a little bit unknown at this point.
And one of the things it's one of the reasons that a lot of people didn't understand, we were entertaining selling a spot on the marina for a hotel, because that, we would have got a good portion of the funding to be able to start this project had we been able to do something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, any extra funding that we can find anywhere is money that we can throw at a project like this that will eventually increase the marina's revenues.
Yeah, and I like the idea of getting that going, because obviously, if we could get it going in the next several years, and you can move some of the smaller boats there, and we get to the place where we can get that next bond to get the next 3 docks, and because those are gonna require the bulkhead to be replaced too. So it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, the bulkhead and the backbone for
But,
the infrastructure for the electrical
Yeah,
and things
but
like
a way to sustain revenue by having that, it just shifts over for the time being, with the ultimate goal of it'll make more money and be able to be self-sustainable.
Correct, and I believe, you know, if the dry stack is built and there's still quite a few years before the smaller docks come off the water, that's just new customers that we'll be hopefully bringing in for that additional revenue before the change.
Most definitely. Do we have the utilities, do we have the infrastructure in the marina that will
Yeah.
support dry stack storage?
Yes, we have, actually, we would update the 2003 fire suppression systems that we had, and we have our fire district, they gave us the okay. We had enough fire suppression service for it. Thing about a dry stack, it doesn't take much. It takes a little bit of power, not much. The boats are sitting there. All the lighting, hopefully we could do solar or big skylights. And the heat, if we could bring down a gas line to the marina, because the heat would be nice to have. It's something that's really important to have because people don't have to winterize their vessels or do any of that type of stuff. So, but honestly, not a whole lot. A little bit, what would be costly is you have to supply a space near the dry stack that you can put boats. People can wash them, people can work on them, people can flush motors. So you'd have to do oil water separators, a containment type area. That'd be a little expensive, but that's part of it, and that's something we have to do too. But just to support the building itself, not much.
Gotcha. Yeah, that, you answered another question of mine, which was going to be if we had South Kings
Yeah.
buy-in on it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I worked on one in Sumner, and they got right down to it, and we're going for TCO. And the fire department said, no way, Jose. And we had to upgrade everything, so.
Right, dry stack is hugely popular all throughout the world, and it's even getting more because there is no more in-water construction, and
Right.
so you need that upland.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions from my colleagues?
Yes.
All right,
Um,
that's more rocks there.
So, have we done an economic impact study on what the increase in facilities would have on, economic impact on the city? I mean, is this expected to increase demand, like more provisioners for boaters, that sort of thing?
I haven't done any formal, there's been National Marine Trade Association, NMTA, has done different studies and held conferences on dry stack. It was back in 2012. The impact, this is a place for boaters to actually you can't put a boat on a lot of home facilities now. They have covenances about things like that. So this is giving people a space to still get back on the water, but having a space for a boat that's not on their house.
Or in the water.
Or in the water, correct, yeah. I'm not quite sure about how to answer the rest of that question, I apologize.
Well, it's, if you look at the impact, I believe we're doing an impact study now. We have a grant, I believe it's on the agenda later on, accepting a grant to study the impact for, economic impact for a passenger ferry service. So we haven't done a formal study like that yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, the other question is, my understanding is that the sling was taken out because it was actually a money loser for us because there just wasn't enough traffic.
You're talking about the public sling?
The
public
sling,
sling,
back
yes.
back in the day, what was that, 2008?
2008.
2008.
Is that correct? It was because there was not enough demand?
You'd probably have to talk to the former harbor master about that, why that decision was made, but yeah, I know there was a huge decline in fishing and different things, so yes, the revenues had dropped tremendously to support it, to support the insurance, the rebuilding of it, staffing levels and all those things.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in dire need of repair,
And
and
it
it was gonna be very expensive, and there wasn't anything to support it.
So then, if you're gonna have to put in sling facilities then to,
Actually, what we're looking at is sorry, I didn't elaborate on it, we're looking at an electric forklift.
okay,
It's a negative forklift, meaning it can go up and down.
okay,
And we're looking to somewhat mimic what's up at Bayside, up in Everett, and which is steel piling concrete deck. And so there's no other repairs, there's no other maintenance, there's no other cost because nothing's in the water. The forklift travels from picking a boat to that launch pad, negatively goes down, and the boat is released.
okay,
And that's what we would like to mimic for our system. And it would be in the same location that the current old sling for the garages is, the small sling that's been decommissioned.
okay, so, but would the possibility be there because of demand caused by the dry stack, would that possibly make it economically possible to put back in so that people that do trailer their boats could come back to the marina as a launch point? Because right now, basically the only launch point between Alki and Tacoma is Redondo, which is problematic at best. So, and we've heard over the years, a number of people that are very upset about the fact that they're no longer able to launch here. So I guess what I'm saying is the possibility, sorry.
No, you're okay.
Is the possibility there that we could once again offer launching facilities for the public?
You know, I don't want to say no to that, but one of the hardest part about that will be where do you put truck and trailers? With the farmer's market now, the events and facilities that have weekend, rentals and all the things. Just having the space now and the new redevelopment with the stairs and all the other things, creating the space for truck and trailers from the public, that would be a pretty tough one to meet,
Okay.
So, talking about the economic study, we did get that Wagoneer one, though. There was some economics and numbers in that detailing what revenue could be generated, because they were talking about the dry stack storage. So I think we have some of that already.
Sure, yes, we do have, and we presented it when we presented some of the master plan to the municipal facilities from those Wagner reports.
Yeah, it's just when you were asking, we do already have something that's fairly recent.
Yes.
It's at least the ballpark information, because that's where we were getting, I think, the additional $1.5 million in revenue was part of the dry stack storage in that, in the combination.
Yeah, no.
Look it up, but I know it's on the website,
But yes, now would you bring it?
and I think it's on the Marina website too somewhere.
But those figures though are specific to the facility itself and not the overall impact.
Yeah, it was an all-encompassing thing in the Marina. The only thing it didn't include is if we decided to do launching of boats from truck and trailer, and but I think it had pretty good information, and it's relatively new, so I'm not sure one needs to be done yet.
I can go back and look at some of those, and if I can find some information, I'd be more than
appreciate
happy
it.
to. You bet.
I've got one final question, if everybody else is done.
I'm done.
All right. And this is for the boaters, since I had a boat that was 20 foot out there. As the smaller boats are being displaced by larger docks, will marina tenants that already have slips or have said that they want slips get first come, first served basis on that dry stack storage?
We hope to do that. We hope to operate. We're offering that for our new docks, our new rebuilding of docks for all those tenants there. You're welcome to come back, and there will be a space for you.
Gotcha.
There's also the option for them to transition to another dock that's, part of the vacancy rates.
Right.
Yes.
And they'll be able to cut the line, so to speak.
Yep.
Very good.
Because they were already in the game.
Right. All right.
So timeline then wise, how long do you estimate it would take to build the dry stack and the revamped launch facilities?
The revamped launch facility would be the hard one. We'd have to get in-water working permits again and all that type of stuff. And just to build the launch ramp, we have some estimates from Bayside and from other facilities. You're looking at $750 to $1 million. But that's I don't know how long the contractor would take, to be honest with you. A tilt-up, $40 to $55 a square foot. Right. This is 32,000 square foot for the building we're proposing. I don't know how long that takes.
Depending on how long the underground utilities would take to hook up and to upgrade the fire system, right. I mean, it could be a 7 to 12 month process.
And permitting too, right?
And permitting.
The racks on the inside to support the skeleton where the boats sit, they're 4,000 per slip approximately. And then you have to, kind of customize each cradle for each slip for the boats, because none of them are the same underneath. A lot of them are the same, but not all of them, So you have to kind of fit for that. So that goes quickly, but, all that does take time.
Right. So given realizing how difficult it is to get permits for, water work and all of that, conservatively, being conservative here, you're saying 7 to 12 months, 2 years possibly it could be done. And this is assuming that we would build the dry stack before we would do any in-water work as far as restructuring the piers.
Sure.
So that you've got a place for people to get their boats out so that you can
Correct.
do the other work. So
Correct.
we're talking, you know, a year to 2 years?
I would, the way things work, I would guesstimate under 5.
Under 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'd also have to wait till we have the bond capacity.
Thank you. That's what I was just gonna say. That is all dependent on what the marina can afford debt-wise.
Yeah, we'd be paying on the current one for a few
Right
years
now.
and L&M and getting done. Then when we had the open window,
Yes, when we can shorten that and
yeah,
get more money.
and get, yeah, and be able to get a loan against it, yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Yes, thank you.
Is that it,
That's
colleagues? Well, I guess that, a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much for your presentation.